How's up, everyone? And welcome back to another fun and exciting analysis of Dragalia Lost. Today, we'll be analyzing the new Crescendo of Courage banner, featuring yet another Cleo, and a new alt for Siren, who is a new character, or a new dragon in of herself. We'll be talking a little bit about these banners, and then I'll be summoning on a Summer 1 banner, because I've been waiting to see what this banner has before I make my decision. So, another Cleo. This is a little bit unfortunate because, one, we can't play the same character on the same team for whatever stupid reason. I honestly thought it's a pretty stupid restriction. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense for the same character to, appear in different clothing and all that. But, I mean, we already have teams that, well, you see the same character show up because you can't prevent other people from playing the same character. But, I mean, it's kind of silly now that Cleo has like 3 alts that you invest on a character that you can't even put together on the same team. It's kind of silly. Not that it matters, because they're, well, except for the healer one, which is sharing the same element. But Gala Cleo pretty much destroys all the other Cleos out there. The Christmas one, this one, and the original one. There's no contest in this. I mean, yes, she does have unique abilities. So let's take a look at this. So she does this thing where it's like Gala Cerise, where based on a number of buffs, she can fire extra shots with her Power Soul shot. It's okay, it's not all that great. Inflict Paralysis is nice, except even with the update for the inflicting extra ailments, I have a feeling that what they word with increasing ailments is that they say that it's easier to make things like more paralyzed or poison or something like that. So you may think that maybe the resistance go down after each time that a new affliction is applied on them. But when I think about it, they could also mean this. So basically, when you apply like some ailment on a character, right? They raise by 20% resistance the next time you apply. The next time you try to apply it after the first one's done. So something with like 80% resistance, and you use that. Next time they won't be paralyzed anymore. Okay, all right. Now, what I think the next update for ailments would do for these things would probably be like 80 to 90% to 100%. Maybe like halfway. Maybe like each time you apply an ailment, it's like 10% or maybe 5%. So, in a way, that means it's easier to apply. But still, in the end, you won't be able to apply anymore after a while. So, ailments are still kind of iffy, but at least they're a little more usable now. Yeah, if they are actually not resistant to it downright. So the problem with paralysis is the same thing as the problem with poison and the same problem with burning. It's where you, well, run into a resistance and it doesn't apply anymore. So for characters such as Cleo, where, hey, you get more skill gauge fill rate for 20 seconds upon successfully paralyzing an enemy, that ability is kind of especially since, alright, so this may look like you can spam it for quite a bit, because the skill gauge fill rate goes for like 10% for 20 seconds, which is a considerable amount of time. So you could possibly look at like up to 30% skill haste if their paralysis run out fast enough. But generally paralysis lasts for like 15 seconds in of themselves. So the most you're gonna get is probably 20%. So anyway, the problem now with this Cleo is that, unlike Charisse, her abilities does not increase her damage all that much. Skill haste is nice, especially when you stack the hell out of it. But her own personal DPS is not all that great. You could look at Paralyzed Punisher and be all like, oh yeah, that's great. But after a little bit, paralysis don't matter anymore. especially for characters who you can only apply it once because they're like partially resistant already. So that's a danger in of itself with running these kinds of ailment characters. But we still haven't seen how the patch will affect the ailments in of themselves. They could make it so much easier that you could apply like multiple times before the end of the fight, like 4, 5, 6 times. That should be enough, right? A fight doesn't last all that long, so unless you're doing high dragons or something like that, which in most cases they don't get affected by these things anyway, then you should be able to do fine. But honestly, when you think about characters, you should really think about gearing them up for high dragons, doing like Imperial Onslaught or Rage or perhaps even Mercurial Gauntlets. You might not want to consider something like this. Although I say all this, I actually run Laranoa on my water team because skill haste is amazing. Now, this tropical breeze combined with the cool ability and the skill haste here adds her up to a nice 35% skill haste. And then afterwards, if you were to get another one, you're looking at 45, which is not too bad, especially if the aforementioned characters that they're supporting also have skill haste worm prints in of themselves, or abilities that have skill haste. So when you think about it like this, right? Cleo is going to benefit from something like this very much. That's the whole reason why my Laranoa thing was part of my water team, because I needed Cleo to do a chunk of damage because she's completely overpowered and drop all her buffs as soon as possible. And the fact that I could reduce her I could make skill haste to like 45% or more, means that in half the time she can produce more buffs. And so she's just dropping layers upon layers of buffs on the ground, weakening the enemy with her defense debuff. It got really disgusting, and that's how I was able to clear Mercurial Gauntlet on the water team. So, that being said, this might have been good if you pair up with Cleo. But unfortunately, you can't, because the Summer Cleo cannot go in the same party as Gala Cleo. So you would have to find another broken character for which you want to provide skill haste as quickly as possible in order to dish out some disgusting techniques. Meanwhile, I also need to figure out the cooldown for Tropical Breeze. It could be something like 10k or 12k. It could be something crazy. But it will also fix itself by sheer virtue of the fact that you could reduce your skill gauge fill rate. So if it's like 10k, hey, guess what? It's like 5k now. You can activate it so much quicker. So that's the most important thing about characters such as Cleo, or Summer Cleo, which are archers. These are the archers' sole value. Otherwise, their personal DPS is pretty piss poor. As you see in like DPS simulators, most archers don't do very well. Charisse is like the single exception to this rule. And even then, her DPS isn't that high either. But see, the problem is that the DPS simulator do not look at skill haste. They don't. So, honestly, I feel that skill haste does a lot more than people give it credit for. And I think that that's the whole point of what they're doing right now, in starting to put skill haste into different abilities, especially for something like Cleo. I hope that we have something like Laranoa that also reduces skill rates more frequently, maybe on other characters perhaps as well, instead of like just sticking on archers or something like that. But it could also be something where it gets really nasty and we're getting something like 80% skill haste. There must be a cap there somewhere. But anyway, I'm rambling. So the point is that this character is decently good, but you have to watch out for personal DPS, which is kind of like iffy, and the people that you team up with, which could be also iffy. That's the problem with the support class characters. If your base DPS isn't all that high, well, your skill haze and all those buffs that you have from Tropical Breeze is not also going to be very good. That's a main problem with certain teams I've seen in Mercurial Gauntlets. I see people run like Cleo and and Ellie at the same time. Their main DPS is like a couple guys, and they don't do all that well. If you're like really poor and you use like off elements like Ieyasu instead of like a multiple team of like fire or something like that, you could run into situations where I just simply don't do enough DPS. Ieyasu is great, but he basically patches up where you're missing in terms of DPS. His own DPS is great for his element, but for other elements you may want to look for some specialists, such as Ramona, who does a chunk of DPS, or the Summer 1 banner characters, such as a Celeria, which is basically Water Marth, does a lot of DPS in of herself as well. But anyway, let's move on to talk about Verica. Now, nowadays, healers seem to all be regen healers. After a burst of healing, they will regen for 15 seconds, because it's still the superior version of healing nowadays. This time, she removes blindness instead of stun, which is fine, but I can't think of any content with blind that is outside of Imperial Onslaught. There might be more later on down the line, but currently, blindness is not a huge issue. It could be a problem down the line, but right now, it's not an issue at all. Even if you're blinded in Imperial Onslaught, somebody else is bound to carry the team. It's so easy these days to clear Imperial Onslaught that it's a complete joke. I have a non-blind resistant team, okay? I have Ieyasu and pals and all that stuff, and have them just all on the map. And they clear it no problem. Clear it nice and quickly. So blindness currently, as of this game right now, is not very useful. Maybe later, like you have mandatory blinding from, say, I don't know, some kind of super raid boss or something like that, that affects the entire map without warning, or it's just, something that just does an AoE and just does it right away, like a Nova or something, instead of like laying down ground AoEs, like purple AoEs that you see that you dodge, and if you dodge them you don't get blinded kind of stuff. If it's mandatory, then something like Verica would be much more useful. Now let's look at Moment of Passion. Grant all teammates a buff, which restore their HP by 5% in damage inflicted for 30 seconds. So you basically turn your whole team into vampires, which is actually pretty nice, especially since it lasts for 30 seconds. This Verica's healing is very, very long term, and I like that a lot. Now the problem with this is that, well, if Everlasting Summer is not available for use, it will fill gradually. I assume that if you hit things, it'll still fill in of itself. Unlike, say, Albert's skill, which he has, that power charge skill, which has to slowly fill because it has, it costs 100k or something like that. So you need to have the autofill to fill it up, and your normal attacks will not do much for it. I assume that might also be the case for this Moment of Passion, but I could also be wrong. It could also just be one of these things where, you could also fill it up with normal attacks and such. And but then again, no. The more I think about it, it's probably gonna work like Albert's skill. There's no reason why it would fill gradually and still allow you to hit for or fill rate, especially since abilities that increase skill gauge fill rate will not affect this skill. So hey, guess what? Cleo won't work well with this character. Honestly, I don't know. The more I think about it, I feel like Summer Cleo just... yeah, she provides nice buffs, but I don't know. Compared to Gala Cleo, there's a world of difference, honestly. Gala Cleo is just entirely too strong. This one is... yes, I guess it's not limited, but... not being not limited is a problem in of itself. Honestly, the pity break is going to be so terrible down the line. But that's a story for when we summon. At any rate, her co-abilities and abilities are, Her abilities with full HP healing is stupid as hell. I would not. Like, what's the point of that? When you're hurt, that's when you heal. When you're full HP, what's the point of healing? I mean, I suppose you could be at full HP because, say your partner is pretty dumb and they got hit and you managed to avoid it. But generally, you would try to fill an entire group's HP when you heal because there's some kind of raid mechanic. Everybody got hurt and you want to heal. So you may as well just count this as nothing for the most part. At any rate, then there's Recovery Potency 13 on top of this, so she can heal a great chunk if all of her conditions are met. It's just that, why full HP? HP 70% might be decent. But, well, hey, look, at least she heals a whole ton. She focuses on healing. She doesn't do any fancy tricks. She just heals. That's what Verica is all about. Now, Siren. Siren is interesting because of this invigorating harmony thing. So, from the looks of things, you could probably abuse the hell out of Valiant Crown. Anything with double buffs on top of this. So since you can activate this twice during one shapeshift, which we have to still figure out the skill charge rate for it, you're looking at 40% strength and defense on top of whatever double buffs you have. I think the bonus for double buff is like 15% max or 20% max. Either way, that's like, let's just say it's 15%. You're looking at 70% strength for like 20 seconds or whatever duration the double buffs are like. I think they're like 15 seconds. So imagine that while someone's broken, and she also comes with like 40% base strength in of herself, so you're looking at a good chunk of damage. But the problem is that you have to shapeshift in order to use this technique, and it's not going to just pop up as quickly as you may hope it would. A lot of times you don't want to shapeshift in a fight. There are times where it may get in the way, or you need to save it for some kind of attack, or just there are different situations where you may or may not want to use shapeshift. And I say this because acceleration that this thing comes with, I actually don't like this buff. It's actually not all that great. So, okay, imagine Gala Cleo, right? Now, if you're using Shinobi has only like 20% strength. Most of his thing is all about skill damage. So if you have this stupid thing for 5 more seconds, you're stuck. You're stuck and you can't do any more, you can't do like more meaningful damage. I mean, sure, you do have the buff of Invigorating Harmony, but for the most part, you're stuck. Instead of like using your stupid orbital death ray, you're just throwing ninja stars. And also, you have to also consider, like, say, healers and such. If they're stuck and they can't cast their skills, it could lead to some disastrous outcome. So, I don't really like shapeshift time. They could just do well with, like, extra damage or something like that to make up for it. But shapeshift time just seems like, I don't know. I guess it could also work well with Min. I guess it could also work with that, because she gets like a DPS increase when she's turned into a dragon. But in most cases, though, I feel like I don't really like acceleration. Honestly, I don't. The skill, being a dragon, yes, you do a little bit extra DPS, but after your skill use, it's not all that great. Well, I suppose it's only like 5 seconds, but 5 seconds could mean a difference between, oh, my whole team just died because I couldn't cast whatever skill I needed to cast, or, well, I don't do enough damage because I don't get to cast my orbital death rays. At any rate, if a whole team is using Invigorating Harmony, though, it could get pretty disgusting. But then again, you could say the same thing for Cupid as well. Though Cupid does not proc double buff, so this is probably still better. Cupid, you could stack your whole team with crit, and you'd have 100% crit for a bit, which is pretty decent, because a crit is like, what, 70% extra damage? So that in of itself will add up to some serious numbers on top of the 60% strength that he already has. Still, being able to proc double buffs is a pretty disgusting thing. You can build entire setups with that. And Light has a disgusting hero called Xian that turns into a horrifying monster with double buffs. So, I think Invigorating Harmony and Siren 2 is really nice, but you have to coordinate with other people to use it. If other people don't have it, it's not so good. It's a nice cheesing dragon. I think there's a lot of potential with her, but you need to make sure that you actually have a team to do it with, and specialized characters to do this with. Most people, they have like, what? Resounding Rendition or some other DPS worm prints. They don't really set up for double buffs as well, so you have to make sure that you have a team set up for it. But if you do, the payoff could be very disgusting. Like having 4 Gleos just destroying High Jupiter, kind of disgusting. Which is the current meta at the moment at High Jupiter. Jupiter does not last for very long. I have a Gleo of my own, so I just kind of went in. I had never done Jupiter before, and even then I figured it out in like 1 or 2 fights, and then all of a sudden I'm clearing it like, just like that. Every goddamn week I clear 3 High Jupiters like it was taking candy from a baby. But anyway, so there's a lot of potential with this dragon. I would say if you could, you should try to summon, because limited, so many things being unlimited these days, you're gonna find that unlimited is the new limited, because the chances of summoning is so much lower as time goes on. Let's see the appearance rate as it is right now. If you're trying to summon off focus nowadays, you're looking at 0.04%, and the pool is only getting bigger. It's only gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So sometimes you may want to make sure that you have some kind of plan. You have some kind of plan when you summon, so that you can summon some things that fit your team's composition well. If you don't have any friends that would want to do the Siren thing, or they're poor or something like that, then perhaps maybe it's not so good. But then again, she could also provide like a decent chunk of buffs in of herself. And also, you can also buy Valiant Crown in the Wormprint shop as well, so it's not so bad. But I think that something like this is more worthy as something you cheese with. But that's my own opinion. I feel like I probably haven't gotten this dragon yet, and I won't be able to tell. I don't know if I'm going to summon on a Summer 2 banner yet, but I will summon on this one, because as I was doing Mercurial Gauntlets, I discovered that I have a certain weakness with my water team. Yes, I did clear it with Laranoa, but it was very, very close. Very, very, very close. So I think that I want to make sure I have like 1 or 2 new water type heroes, because Lily, she's not exactly that great for DPS. She's kind of chunky. Her skill 1, it takes like 10 years to come out, and her skill 2 needs her to get like right next to the enemy to use. I mean, I suppose for High Brunhilde, she's more than fine, and all the other characters, they're more than fine. But as time goes in Mercurial Gauntlet, I feel like I'm gonna need a solid DPS if they ever start releasing like stage 60 or something like that, which I hope they don't. But anyway, enough rambling. It's time for me to start summoning on this banner now, for that reason. Let me just reset this real quick. Alright, and now we will start summoning. So, I have this stupid voucher, and if you have it, because of that bug that they did, you want to make sure that you use the expiring voucher as soon as possible. I think it might get used up first, but let me just do this and find out for ourselves. Because until the 31st, I don't think there's going to be any other special banner that might appear. So let's just do this. Whoop, a 5-star right away! Hopefully I get what I want. So my current goal is probably Celeria. Watermark seems to be pretty nice. I got a wand. And I would do well with a Siren. Because I do have Leviathan maxed out. I only have one top tier DPS water dragon. I mean, I do have that the Volvabi thing. Ooh, Summer Maribel. Oh, Summer Maribel. Oh my god, Student Maribel. Well, that's a new character I don't have, so there's that. Although I don't know if I'm actually gonna put her to work anytime soon, because Fire One is pretty garbage. Really garbage. I don't want to build it. I already built the dark one, and it makes me sick. Ooh.
Bust out your parasols, cause it's raining out!
I also got Ronzo. How wonderful. Yeah, I don't like those wands because they're so terrible. It heals. It heals, and the heal is like a little teeny tiny. If it was the defense buff, at least I could use double buff or something like that to start stacking up some damage. But, well, that's not the case here. Yeah, that's literally the worst. Oh, I used up the expiry one first. So now that I've done that, I'm going to do some single summons. So again, Siren or Water Moth. That's what I would look for. If I get, what's her name again? Son of a bitch. If I get Julieta, then, well, no harm to that. Her DPS is pretty decent in of herself. But yeah, I need to do some single summons right now. I am desperately short on Eldwater, and every time there's a new banner, there's new Worm Prints. And new Worm Prints means new combinations. Worm Prints is a very interesting mechanic to me, because it really adjusts your character's customization. It's like having A slots and B slots for your Fire Emblem Heroes characters. It changes the way your character plays. It's kind of funny, because back then, most of them are just kind of meh, and you don't want them to break your pity break. But now that you can just use Eldwater for them, you want to make sure you have a decent chunk of Eldwater to get them as soon as possible. There are some really good ones, like that Sister's Day Out, which really increase the power of Albert, which is worth looking into. And you know what? 4-star stuff is nice. 2,200 Eldwater like that is really nice. At any rate, I have like 90-something single summon tickets, so it's about time I get rid of them. Next time I do summoning, it'll be faster than this. Since I was doing analysis anyway, I might as well just sit through this. We will get to watch all these wonderful characters doing their juggling or dropping down from the sky as we try to get ourselves a new character, hopefully. If I can get Siren, that would be really nice. I think I saw Siren's percentage being like 0.9, which was pretty decent, all things considered. But looks like we'll be swimming through this for a bit before we get anything. I think at least, you know, Summer Ronzo is giving me 2,200. I don't plan on ever using him though. And, oh, you know, I just realized something. I forgot completely about Luca. Luca's a 4-star. How wonderful. I don't think he's going to be all that great either. It's kind of funny. I failed to mention this before, but when you think about the alts that we have in the game right now, right? The first character, alright, not just character, let's say main character, the core group, the close friends of Udin's. The first one that we have was Elizan. She's a 5-star limited character from Halloween. So that was interesting. And then we have Cleo, which became Christmas Cleo, also limited. And then Gala Cleo is limited in the way of becoming a Gala hero, which is just about as bad, really. And then, let's see. What else? Oh yeah, that's right. Ronzo's also a Gala character. And then there's Charisse, which was just kind of like there. So where does that leave Luca? He just suddenly gets his first ult. but it's a 4-star. It's a 4-star unlimited character. It's like it's like they keep giving him low blows after low blows. It's actually pretty amusing. You know, there's a theory that the mole, what's his face was talking about? Oh, jeez. Harley was talking about in, like, during the story or something like that. There's a thought that, oh, maybe Luca is the mole. Because you know what? Luca has been mostly mistreated by the team. Doesn't even get... When we had, like, that, Christmas cake. Or was it the New Year's cake? No, New Year's is that Japanese stuff. It was a Christmas cake. Luca isn't even in it. Everybody else is. Luca's just like not even in it. He's not in anything. Nowadays he starts showing up in events, but well, his presence isn't exactly what we call major. He's a very, I don't know why they feature him in the main group, because he doesn't feel main at all. He just feels like some guy that just shows up. He's like Kramer, just shows up, or that neighbor in like Home Improvement who just always hides his face. That crazy dude, but he shows up randomly from time to time. That kind of guy. I don't know. I feel like if Luca really is a traitor, that would be awesome. Hopefully they give him like some characterization and make a big deal about it. And then suddenly he starts getting more events, getting more, well, once he's, I guess, joins back to the good side or something like that, and he starts participating in more events or something like that. At any rate, he's just, I feel like being a Chapter 2 character caused this to happen to him. And you just, like, meet all your friends in Chapter 1. Then all of a sudden, in Chapter 2, you go through some village, and you saw this Luca guy randomly attempting to challenge a dragon single-handedly, which, in of itself, is kind of weird. So you think about it like this, single-handedly, so there's no witness or anything that he actually fought him. He could just be, you know, set up as a mold with some kind of credible story, and join the main group for whatever reason. At least that's what I read. I mean, there was also the whole thing with Melza, and Melza getting manipulated by Harley was kind of interesting, considering that people think that, oh yeah, he's, oh, it's an axe, Julieta. Yep.
Since you don't know, a paladin remains a paladin.
Nice side boobs, though. Really, this is a nice outfit. I really like how they bend the characters like these to sell them. But, well, that's just how it is with Japanese games. Well, actually, I think that's a common thing worldwide. Well, no, maybe not. Breaking their backs just to show their ass and boobs at the same time does not seem to be it. Whatever. At any rate, that's what I think on the matter. It would be nice. It would be nice to see if he have some developments in the next chapter. It could also be, you know, just Sethia the whole way, and then we get the Sethia as the story character, or Gala or something like that, and Luca gets nothing. It could very well be that. It could very well be that he's not a traitor or anything. He's just, you know, some guy who hangs out with us from time to time. It could very well be that, and it's kind of depressing if you like him for whatever reason. So, you know, I say all this hoping that he'd be a traitor or something like that, but maybe he might have some defining heroic moment. That would also be kind of nice. But I somehow doubt it. I just can't imagine it in my head right now. I just can't imagine it. At any rate, we're now down to 50 single summons, and I now have almost 50k L border, which is enough for me to get No, maybe it's not. Let me think. See, I was like, what? 6,000. Let's see. 4,000. Was it? 4,600. 6,000 and 9,000. At any rate, yeah, that might be enough. That might 50k. Yeah, 50k is definitely enough. So that'll get me a max unbound worm print, which is useful. But I need more. I also need to unbound some characters, because as I said before, with skill haste is something that you want to stack as much as possible. You want to make sure that you have as much of that as possible. The more you have, the better it gets. If you half-ass it, leaving it like 20% or 30%, it's just not as good. The more it's over 50%, the stronger it gets. Or at least, the closer it gets to 50%. At the very least, you want to at least try to get as close to 50% as you can. That way, you're basically spamming your abilities twice the time. I'm getting a lot of these 4 stars. Well, at least I can sell them and get me some nice elk water. Oop, here we go. A 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Oh. Katana. Oh.
Let the festivities begin.
Natalie could be very good to have on my team for, oh, but then again, I already have Ieyasu. Do I really want to make another goddamn katana? Dark katana? That's crazy. Well, I suppose I could just not run Ieyasu, which is kind of silly, but I could just do that as well. But, I don't know. And that's the whole problem with Natalie. She's a silly character. She does a chunk of damage when she's at low health, but then you run into situations where if somebody heals you for whatever reason, you can't target heal. And even if you could, they always target like the lowest health people. So it fucks you up. Using Natalie fucks you up. I mentioned this on Reddit before, that she's kind of like Hawk. And the reason why I say this is because she's not like Hawk per se in terms of mechanic, because Hawk is all about, oh yeah, you get stunned and then all of a sudden I chunk you for like 1,000,000. No, the mechanics is not like that. But the idea behind the characters are the same thing. They have very, very specific conditions that they need to fulfill in order to achieve their great damage. You know, I suppose Natalie's condition is a lot easier than Hawk's, since she can actually meaningfully bring her health down, unlike, say, Veronica, who needs to actually get punched in the face instead of using a skill 2, which brought her health down. But, hey, what the hell is it? Ooh, I've got the power! I've got Arcturus Grey, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, get some! I've got this crazy-ass bear thing running around. Now my dog is completely upset because of this. Listen to that barking, that barking. You know why the dog barks? The dog barks because that's not Siren, it's Arcturus. So the dog is very, very unhappy about this. You know what? In a way, I am too. I have a lot of fire characters at the moment. But Arctos would be really nice if I were to get a Ramona, so maybe I can go and pity break myself a Ramona, because honestly, I'm in a very bad shape right now. I actually thought about it the other day, about how much I regret not summoning Ramona before. Because despite the fact that, oh yeah, she's unlimited, I'm looking at a very poor chance of getting her. I'm gonna probably have to use...
Time for your examination.
Ooh, the hot nurse. Nice. I'm probably going to have to use my dream summon to get her, which is pretty deplorable. At the same time, I also want to get Sakuya. I should have gotten her before instead of getting Linyu, though Linyu is top DPS for grass, wind. So, I can't deny that either. It's a pretty nasty situation for me all around. I can't decide on what to do with these things. I really should have summoned on Ramona's banner, though. That's what I should have done. Instead of sitting on all these tickets and watching me summon right now, going through like 95 single tickets and that one expiring tenfold. Hey, look, it's Clown Man. Also known as Eldwater. But yeah, I feel like I missed an opportunity with Ramona there. It's a bit of a cause for regret. So, I don't know. People are all clamoring about how, oh yeah, this isn't limited. Oh, side games are so great. They're not like Fire Emblem Heroes, limiting everything. Well, I don't like limiting everything either. Oh, what the hell is this?
The Knight's Arms Master is at your service.
It's Zelaria! You know, I now have 2 of those wonderful Summer 1 units. This pleases me greatly, because now I have a stronger order team now. And I also like how 2 of those 5 stars that I got were fake 4 stars. They come down like this and snap into 5 stars. I like that a lot. This is what Supreme Luck should be all about. Alright, now let us continue our summoning. Keep doing our singles. We're now at 25 left. I may have to walk away for a second because I need to go and chat with my mother about something. She forgot a package, and I need to make sure that it gets to her. So I'll be right back. And now back to our show. So yeah, I need to get that sorted out because my mother is going away for a bit. Now, let's go and continue doing these single summons for nonsense. I'm actually having a hard time figuring out how to spend my Wormites and Diamantium soon. I could use it for this banner to try to get 1 Siren, but well, we'll see. We've got pretty much everything else but the Siren. I could just subsist on Leviathan alone. I do have 1 extra one. But, I don't know. Reason why I'm doing this is because I need some more options. I'm a bit of an option hunter, so I want to make sure that I have different options. And I also want to hope that by the off chance, I might even summon a Ramona. Not likely. But I hope in the off chance I do. I like how that stupid crystal froze in the air for a second. Oh, it got sent to Goodie Box. And it's about time to clean that up. It's about time to clean that up. Man, to think that I got... Oh.
I will do all in my power to aid you.
Well, it's not a siren, but this will be nice. Now I've got 1/2 of the evil duel. 1/2 of the evil duel. So that's something. That's something. If I can pull Ramona at some point, that would be nice. But at least now I have a dream summon target. Though, you know what's gonna bother me? That next dream summon is probably gonna be allowing you to do galas as well. In which case I would have to be like, oh, son of a bitch. Maybe I'll just do Charisse as well then. Currently my plans is to summon only for gala heroes, but eventually I'm gonna need to start branching out a little bit. I need to make sure that my teams are strong enough to handle Mercurial Gauntlet. It's not an easy task. Even with like... I see people like talk about, oh, budget this, budget that. Well, guess what? You have fucking Ramona. You can't just be like, oh yeah, it's all budget. I'm free to play. Ramona is extremely powerful in terms of DPS. Oh, what's this? You have Gala Cerise? Oh yeah, that's right. You have tons of DPS because of your skill haste. Hello, I don't have that. So, like, what? You can talk about budget all you want, but... that's not budget. You actually have heroes that other people might not have. It's a very... I mean, I'm sure that there's some, like, other combinations that'll work well. I mean, after all, I did use Aranoa to pass Mercurial Gauntlet for, fire. So there's always a way, but there's also, well, ways that work. And ways that work is something like that. You're getting Ramona to smash someone over the head repeatedly. Oh.
I'm gonna sing with all my heart, so listen up.
Listen up! Oh, I did it! I got it! I got a Siren with her sharp-ass teeth. You see her teeth? Look how sharp they are. She sinks her fangs into you, you will lose all your blood, for she'll suck it dry. That is the power of Siren. She'll lure you with her evil music, and then once you get close, she sinks her fangs into you and suck all of your blood. Look at that sharp-ass teeth. She got twin fangs, too, unlike, Ezelith only has one, because she's actually a Super Saiyan form of Delthea. At any rate, well, I would say that this summoning session has been quite fruitful. Considering that I was using single summon vouchers, and I still haven't used them all up yet. Well, I did use the one tenfold, but I got Student Mario out of that. I would say I got off pretty nicely. This is the power of supreme luck! Now, I'm gonna go and sell all these wonderful dragons that I have, part ways in grand style, because I only keep one copy of each dragon, so that I can bother them each day and get the dragon stone out of them. But I'm starting to run out of that option as well. So eventually I'm gonna hit a wall where I only have like 5-star dragons to feed. Because when I think about it, have you thought about it? Has there ever been like any new 4-star dragons that get released in a gacha? That is, I mean, we see them like in events and such, so we can subsist on that. But I've never seen any new 4-star dragons get released in the gacha, which is kind of funny. I guess we're just gonna be constantly seeing the same old Valdeville or that chicken bird thing, Rock, or like Ponyta, or, we're gonna see like weird ass things like that. And we're not gonna see any new 4-stars. I suppose it's not so bad because that's easy Elfwater. You don't have to bother thinking about it. But still, anyway, I made out like a bandit for this summoning. This summoning worked out very nicely for me, especially with a whole bunch of single tickets like this. I may or may not summon on the second summer banner, which is coming out in 3 hours. I'm thinking about it. But I don't know yet. I might do it because I am sitting on a lot of Wormites and Diamantium. I could probably afford it. I have these 10-folds that are still sitting in my trunk. I could probably afford it. I haven't even did my monthly packages yet, so I can probably afford it. I just need to think about it one last time. The Cleo is just not very enticing because of Gala Cleo. It just doesn't make sense. Why would they make another stupid Gala with another alt? They fixed the alt system to it so that they're like different characters, because otherwise I'm gonna be stuck with a whole bunch of the same character that I don't want to invest on, and I have to be kind of thinking about, hey, do I want this one over that one? This is the same deal with Julieta and the other things too, but at least there are different elements that work well. I suppose, I talked about this before, but light and dark are 2 different elements, but I just can't see myself using that thing over Gala Cleo. Gala Cleo is just made... How do I put it? Gala Cleo is like the Merlin of this game. It's just Merlin. That's if you would put in FGL terms, it's like Merlin. A ridiculously overpowered character that comes every once a great moment. In fact, now that I talked about this, do you think they're actually going to have a Gala Dream summon? I think they did such a thing in Grand Blue, but it took a few years before they actually did that. And that also being said, what will they actually like do a new rotation of the Gala characters? Would they like just keep releasing new ones, or would they like actually go back to the old ones, like starting from Charisse again? That is also interesting to see. I think they would go back, but or they may release them in like 2 cycles, like Charisse and some new Gala will be on this cycle or something like that. So then you would also still have access to the old Gala heroes. That could also be a case. At any rate, I think I rambled long enough with all this wonderful talks of summoning and this new banner that I'm not sure if I'm going to summon, but we'll see. I mean, if you suddenly see a summoning the next day, well then, I did it! I'm a bad guy! Alright, enough rambling. I thank you all for watching. Until next time.